Hi, everybody. So this
Hi
is Beth.
again.
This is Beth and I'm Stefan,
Hello.
just in case you don't know us. Usually Emmanuel does a lovely introduction for people, but he's not feeling well, so we hope you get well soon, Emmanuel. Beth and I work together. We travel the world teaching dance in normal times. And I like all kinds of creativity. I write songs. I've got my fellow songwriter here, David, who writes songs with me sometimes. And recently I started making some short films. Some of you have seen a film called Malka about refugee children. My other old school friend Stuart has actually helped me with making these films. So I've got two very supportive friends here tonight. Poetry is just a little bit of a sideline that pops up from time to time, but this week I've written two poems, I think inspired by the Zoom thing. So I'm just going to launch in. The first poem is called Ungifted. Do you have an image for that, Rosita? Ungifted. No offense, but I'm returning your cuddly smiling moose from the Rockies in his green plaid jerkin. Familiar tokens, gifties, trinkets and cliched cards have littered my past, but are now no longer wanted. I'll accept wildflowers that grow freely and abundantly, or a poem, if it's your hand that writes it. So we only need to see it for a few seconds, Rosita, just like, and then back to me. Best of all, give me nothing, only undiluted you and the changing sky, the stinging rain, far from shop or shelter with no umbrella. You and I drenched deliciously with laughter. So the next poem's called Bender. Do you have an image for Bender for a few seconds? I didn't intend. Oh, I forgot the beginning. Do, 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 ba, do, ba, 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 do, do, do. I didn't intend to gender bend. I hadn't planned to make a stand. As my partner recalls, it took some balls. Ba, ba, bum. I think it's 'cause the boy I was, that kid you knew, never grew, was always blue, hadn't a clue, while the woman you see, though she's 6'3", is really me. Ba-ba-ba-bam-ba-dam-bam-bam-bam. So welcome all to my transsexual ball. I never intended to change, but it's splendid. I'm gender bended. Bethany's going to read a poem called Yearning. Do you have a picture for Yearning?
Yearning for the homeland we lost, for a family that was shattered and scattered, for the way we lived, loved, sang, danced, quarrelled, held grudges and were reconciled. The food, just like it always was. At heart, it's a tearing of branch from root, the bitterness of not being whole. Life's shards, longing to fuse in one long sunburst.
That was the picture, Rosita. The next one is called Splinter, and it was written on Monday. I was thinking, have I got anything new? And I thought, okay, I'll write something new. Don't know if you have a picture of a splinter. I got one. Oh yes, fantastic. So now come back to me. In my little finger, buried deep, is a splinter. I hardly noticed it at first, but it twinges, it feels strange, and the skin is not healing over it. I try prizing it out with a needle and make myself bleed. This produces more pain than the splinter. So I leave it a while, I ignore it, but it twinges, feels strange, and the skin will not heal. In my mind, there is a splinter. I hardly noticed it at first, but it twinges. It feels strange and wakes me in the dark. I try to uproot it, only to feel ashamed. So I place my thoughts elsewhere, but it twinges, and I find myself awake, eyes wide, searching the darkness. Outside, there is a splinter, a thorn, so long it pierces earth, sea, and sky. A thundercloud bursting with bitterness. I glance up and feel helpless, hopeless, heart hammering, frustration with myself, with all of you. Why? Why did we just leave it there? Who, when, where, how did it grow so large? I have to look away. I ignore it, count my blessings, try to stay positive. The earth is now a stranger. Half of the harp strings are detuned. A discordant song rises up with the moon. Imagine, just imagine a life free from splinters. Could there be a sanctuary of sweet somnolence, a wonder of oneness? The universe, sliding into blessed oblivion, slaps itself. Shockwaves ripple into tidal waves, an endless ocean of motion and emotion, cycles, seasons, madness and reasons, a symphony of cacophony and starbursts, the splintery splendor of life. Now, my other new poem is even newer, and I can't see Stuart at the moment. I think he switched himself off, but
I think he's there, but further along.
This is dedicated to Stuart, one of my friends from school days. I don't know if you can see the picture. It's a court jester. Now, Stuart is what could be called a pundit. That is, he knows a lot about some things. And he could also be called a punster because he likes puns. In fact, I need you to do a little bit of audience participation with me. Yeah. I need you to do a little, so will you put the image back on me? What I need you to do is raise your hands, please. I can't see you do it. Raise your hands, put your hand on your head, shake your head, and say the word groan. Groan. Great. And at the end of the poem, I'd like you to do it one more time. So this is called Fully Grown. When you're young, you never pun, yet wordplay happens every day. Then life starts to weigh you down, you frown. Please send a fool around with a tricorn, just a jester. Corny humour, titter-tester. He who hee-haws, roars and guffaws, juggle, clap, sing, joints collapsing. When you're peeved and need to vent, what you need is punishment. Chuckles, cackles and hoots are cool, but a full-blown groan works best of all. Go on.
Oh! Full blown.
Grown.
Well done. There's more poems. Some of my poems are about cats. Let me just show you. There are 2 volumes of cat poems, hand penned. Bethan's going to read one of them.
And this is entitled Custom Cats. Venus shades the vermilion sunsets, shapes the white feathered clouds. Obviously, she has scant time for pigs, penguins, or porcupines who look much the same, like mass-produced underwear. But certain beasts are finely finished. Giraffes, geckos, and gazelles. Among the world's creatures that run, hop, crawl, swim, jump, or fly, one alone, and only one, is custom designed. Each kitten a singular masterpiece, hand painted by Venus.
That was about the best Venus I could find on Google. Oh boy, I'm lost. Where's it all gone? Oh yes. Oh. Mostly we're letting the poems speak for themselves, but this one I want to introduce. Actually, it's 2 poems which go together. Have you been to the old Arab market in Jerusalem? I went some years ago. I found it very atmospheric. It's like going into another world. And as I was noticing the customers and the shopkeepers, it seemed like 2 different worlds coming together that wouldn't normally come together. I was wondering what some of the customers were thinking about the shopkeepers and the other way around. So you got 1 poem from each point of view. The first one is called Unspoken. I don't know if you've got a picture for Unspoken. Your shop makes me claustrophobic. Oh yeah, you were there, Fiona, weren't you? Or were you? You were. Your shop makes me claustrophobic, a museum of nostalgia, and you two have an aura of ancient mothballs. I don't get it. In your shoes, I'd wilt, I'd suffocate, or contract into a bitter old walnut. Your smile is an enigma. Comfort and luxury are not for you. But more than that, it's sweet liberty. 1,000 freedoms you must be gasping for. The wide open world of rock music, fashion wear, galleries, dance clubs, to travel far and wide, to love whoever you want to without being chained to their family. Never can you enjoy a few drinks or a bet. Never will you buy a luxury you fancy on a whim. Surely, when you look at me, you must feel an enormous stab of envy. So I can't remember, did I show you a picture? That was my picture of the character that was speaking, or the nearest I could get to him.
David Beckham.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was him. The one who's answering is more like this. Oh, yeah, you got him. Can you do the next one? It's called Stretch. Stretch. I can read you like a tabloid. You think I envy you. I stretch my cheeks apart and hope it looks like a smile. You soft fool, spilling into my shop like a bloated stomach. You squint as though pitying me. Are you kidding? I bet you hardly have any children. Even those haven't the slightest respect. They'll move away from you and then from God. They will take drugs, dally around without marrying. You'll be lucky to get even 1 grandchild. You'll count yourself fortunate if they don't end up behind bars. You're a lost soul. All this I read in the papers. You belong to everything and so betray everyone. Your faith, if you have one, is a part-time affair. Once a week, once every Christmas. Instead, you are devoted to your car, your football team, clothes, TV and furniture. And then there's the club, the pub, the manicurist and the hairdresser. You touch base with everyone. You have Facebook friends you have never met, but you have no roots. While I am surrounded by my family, my people, as snug as bricks in a wall, we share a common faith, which gives our lives together a shape, a rhythm, one people, one purpose, one mind. Your life is quicksand, while mine has foundation, supported, unchanging. Envy your life, you soft fool. Ah, but your purse gives off a sweet aroma, like an oven full of freshly baked bread. I stretch my cheeks wide and hope it looks like a smile.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yes, I like that one as well.
Shadow Whisker. As mares of night imprison moon's halo, Shadow Whisker shudders. Thistlewind in pursuit, Shadow Whisker conjures mist dragons. Newly camouflaged, he drums up a ravished pagan sun with gold-green eyes. Sky clambering, acorns scatter-clatter, Shadow Whisker melds into morning. Sage of surprises, whisked shadow, mage of moments. Shadow Whisker, shard of a whisper.
Shadow Whisker. Okay, I know you're muted, but I'm just wondering, what would you think if you met your 5-year-old self? And what would that 5-year-old self think of you? Well, this poem was inspired by that idea. It's called Revision. The young me darts through a gap in the splintery fence. Yes. I'm just going to come back to that. The young me darts through a gap in the splintery fence, too small for me now even to squeeze my head through. Overturning a boulder, he pokes at centipedes and woodlice exposed in their sanctuary. Can insects swim? He tests the answer again by flicking them into a bucket of water. I shudder watching myself do this. That brat can't be me. The boy I once was blinks up at my gargoyle frown, sticks out his tongue, then screams, hey, wrinkly old poo, I'll never be you. Well, dancing had to get a look in somewhere, just to be a bit strange. This is called the invisible dance. The invisible dance. Some guests were shabby, others tailored, some business grey, others hippie chic, pearls or tattoos, high heels or sports shoes. A kind of defensive giggle was circulating as we waited for the free sampler. We were all asked to slip jackets off and then stand for the invisible dance. Nobody responded, and that should have been that. Just one couple divested themselves of coats. Were they plants? But like a Mexican wave, we all started to do likewise. That was when darkness cloaked us and I saw an opportunity to back out. I could slip away, wrapped in shadows, and nobody would ever know or care. And that should have been that. But serpentine music slinked in to hypnotize me and slowly coiled itself around my legs. When it released me, I was lost. My foot was already tapping, treacherous hips were swaying, and figments of candle flame were dancing on my retina. The invisible dance caught me in its firm embrace and span me around, stealing my inhibitions, binding me, the willing sacrifice, in a web of wonders. Now when I hear certain music, there is no negotiation. The invisible dance arises and my body must follow. And that is that. How are we doing for time? One more?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, one more, 1 or 2 more. Go on.
Okay, good. We'll do 2 more.
Oh, very short one.
Oh, hang on.
How about 10 more?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Here's a picture of a white horse with Cinderella on it. You have to use your imagination.
I'm happy with the horse.
Happy with the
Yeah,
horse,
of course.
At the witching hour, Cinderella's carriage will turn back into a pumpkin, and all the white horses to mice. Ready, cats?
Could you hear the ending? Ready, cats. This is also quite short. It's called The Higher, the Fewer. Yes, ours is the one truth, but you surely see your interpretation is, well, a bit odd. I'm sorry, but frankly, your faction have lost the thread. Okay, I admit, even my congregation mostly get it skew with. To be honest, there are only 3 of us left who see things clearly. And the other 2 have got so obsessive, I think they're cracking up, which leaves just me.
One more.
Oh, good. Okay. This is another cat poem. Now, you have to imagine, I haven't got a picture for this one, so you have to imagine some very nice nuns in a nunnery, kind of an old-fashioned place. And the poem is called Troy Again. Not try again, Troy again. Walled order, drab habits, tall order, up before rabbits, faces drawn, grim, forlorn. One day, one sister took in a stray. Mother Superior threw a fit, get rid of it. But was it a sin to exile her, all bones and skin? The suspect was hidden, a Trojan horse, who then had kittens. Soft, helpless, padded paws, tempting the hand to reach and fondle, coaxing stiff jaws to crack into smiles. And one little wobbler, velvet as night, stole a heart unschooled in delight. Mother Superior hovers near her. An arcane race, older than humans, has won round minds once sound. Cats now govern St. Hilda's coven. Oh, we had fun doing that. I hope it was okay.
Yeah, or you can unmute yourself now.
Yeah, so thanks so much for joining us for that. I've never done this before on Zoom. Most of these poems have never been shared before.
Oh, wow.
Just the cat one.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Stefan.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh,
Thank you, Beth.
Beautifully read.
I'm very
Lovely to see you all.
Yeah.
Hey, Fran.
So we're going to talk poetry for a bit. Oh, well done, Fran. We're going to talk poetry for a bit before we go into any more general discussions.
Mhm.
And I do just want to welcome Colin, especially because he's one of my favourite poets. I'm really honoured that you're here.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you.
Any questions, any thoughts? Anything that didn't make sense?
Well, this is Halima from California. You should be doing this more often because you have such an engaging personality and expressiveness, and you have so much fun. Your rhymes are subtle. I mean, I just saw so many pictures. So thank you, Stefan. You're really fabulous.
Hi, Julie.
Well, we all love you anyway, so.
We can take plenty of that. Carry on.
You don't want to get me talking more because I could go on for eternity.
No, we'll let other people have a go. I'm sure some people can balance this up a bit.
Stefan.
Hi, David.
I really like the image that was, I think it was bitter as an old walnut.
Yes.
Think about that one, boy. And I'm going to nick it from you.
Adrian.
Thank you. You weren't cracking up, I hope.
No, I'm pinching it.
Can I say something? If you would like to say something, please raise your hand that everybody can see you would like to say something, okay?
Stuart, what did you think of your terrible pun poem?
I'm still groaning.
Oh.
And yeah, I'm sure it'll grow on me. Well, it'll
grow.
Oh.
This is what we do when we get together. Fortunately, it's only once a year.
Adrian, you raised your hand. Would you like to say something?
I remember being with Stefan in Jerusalem, so I was there at the same time.
You were.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Rose and
Ian.
Ian.
Good to see you, Adrian. Adrian dabbles in poetry as well. We've got a lot of poets here tonight.
I remember being in that market in Jerusalem as well. It brought back a memory for me because I was outside one shop and I looked and I burst out laughing. And the shopkeeper came storming out, his face, you know, like, not exactly thunder, but he was bemused, he was puzzled, he was beside himself. He said to me, "You looked at my shop and you laughed." Yeah, I said, "Why is it that all the tourists come to my shop and they laugh? Why do you all laugh at my shop?" And I couldn't really say to him why, in the middle of a bazaar where you're watching for your wallet and you're thinking to yourself, how much can I haggle? There it was, the El Shark grocery.
El Shark. An honest man in the market. Nice to see lots of dance friends here as well. The beautiful girl in the middle is Francesca, our daughter.
Yes, that's you. Definitely you.
Yeah, I loved your use of imagery, Stefan. There were,
Thank you.
yeah, in the various poems. I like the I like the expressions. There was one, I think, being drenched in laughter, and then there was
deliciously in laughter.
Go, that one, and the snake as well. In the other poem, the
I'm
snake.
trying to remember where the snake.
I think that was in the dance one.
Oh yes, the serpent. Music pointing like a serpent.
Yeah. There, you know, there were quite a few phrases which really were, you know, brought a to mine. So I really
I'm so pleased to hear that. There's that old thing about show, don't tell. And I'm tempted sometimes to do message, but it's really nice when you can do it with images instead of making it sort of like a teacher.
Yes, much better, yeah. Stefan, I'd like the steps to the invisible dance, please.
I'll show you, but there's nothing to be seen. If you close your eyes, you can see it right now.
Fiona would love to say something.
Okay.
You know my interests, Stefan. I liked the cats ones, and I liked the dance one, and I liked the Jerusalem one.
I was trying to remember, you were there on that trip or not?
I haven't been there with you.
Oh no, because Fiona's led a lot of trips to Israel.
I've been there several times, but I haven't been there with you. But we've talked about it.
That's why I had that picture. But Adrian was there.
Sarah from Brazil. A big hug from Stefan and Bethan. I'm glad to
participate.
Sim, yes.
Muito bom a te ver.
Thank you.
Eu não lembro meu português.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
It's lovely to see you.
So we will have a little chat for anyone who's got time to stay. It's so nice to see friends. But just before that, is there anything more poetry related before we sort of call it a wrap?
What's a hand thing?
Sheila and then Elena.
Okay. Yeah, only I'd like to say this was a lovely idea, and it would be very good, as someone else said, if you could do something again like this whenever.
Thank you, Sheila. I'll have to write a horse poem for you.
Yes, please. Yes. And Nigel, I have to tell you, Nigel forgot. I sent him a WhatsApp, and then I don't think he registered it properly. He said anyway, he's a nightmare. So he was with you in.
This is now official.
Yeah,
this is now official.
Yeah,
authenticated by YouTube. We'll show him the YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll learn him.
I forgot also Jan Nash in Egypt.
Yes.
I completely forgot till 20 minutes ago, and I was picking with the horses, the best place I like to be. And I said, oh gosh, I've completely forgotten Stefan, da 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 da. But then I said to her, it'll be on YouTube, so I can send her the link. So she might have been with us if I'd have.
And that was your poetry question, was it?
But no, the poetry was to do it again. The poetry was to do it again.
Okay, great.
And I went off on a tangent.
So now Elena, then David, then Colin.
Is it me now?
Yes.
Okay. For people, there are a couple of people here who knew me as a different name. So I used to be Judy, but I've been called Elena now for many years. Yeah, something about the poetry. I particularly was taken with the Stretch poem. That was a Jerusalem one, wasn't it? And I just felt that you got absolutely into the heart of the different way of living and values, and it was really very succinct and very meaningful and a little bit humorous, but I thought that was a very beautiful little poem. And the Invisible Dance as well. Yeah, very magical, the Invisible Dance.
Hooray!
That's
very recent. That was about February.
Oh, she's packed.
And it was it was that feeling of the dance that we don't need to be taught, we have it in us. And you got that.
Absolutely.
You expressed it, and I thought that was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad it came over. To me, it starts with the music, and sometimes the music literally is like a spell, and then the body just has to follow.
And during COVID times, people are saying, oh, you should do this and that and the other to keep your
resilience and happiness going, and dance is always at the top of the list, you know. Do dancing, singing as well. I still do both, so I know
Good
the
for
value of
you.
it. Yeah,
Good for
I
you.
wouldn't be without them. But you know, there was another one called Grown. Was that the one with all the
Grown, fully grown.
was that the one with all the puns in
It
it?
was the one with the terrible puns. I was getting my own back on Stuart for years of puns.
Okay, so the trouble with it is hearing it, not seeing it, is very hard to pick up as it goes
I
past
can
you too
imagine.
quickly. But so I would love to read that one.
Right, that's with pleasure. I'll post it on to. Do you go onto the SICA website or the
Sure.
Facebook page? I'll post that one. Yeah.
Stefan, we can post your videos under your poems under your video if you
I'd be
like.
happy
Send
to
it
do
to
that. I'll
us and
send
then
you.
we can post it.
For anyone who's interested, they can see the words then, because sometimes also on Zoom you get these moments where you lose a word. So yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
For those, I know people can't stay forever, so for those who do have to go, and I'm not trying to get rid of you, but thanks so much for joining me. For anyone who can stay, I'm enjoying this chat, so I'm going to stay till you've had enough.
Till it's dinner time.
Yeah, we haven't eaten yet either.
No.
I somehow didn't want to rush dinner. I thought I'd enjoy it more afterwards.
Yeah.
David would like to say something, and then Colin still. Should we say goodbye to the others first, Stefan?
Well, goodbye if you need to go, and continuing if you can stay.
Yeah, okay.
So thank you. Thank you.
Stefan?
David.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, hearing you loud and clear.
Stefan, I really like The Invisible Dance as well. My question to you is, how do you know you're writing a poem and not a song?
Yeah. I thought that poem Bender, you know, the gender bending one, that could be a song, but it just hasn't got a tune yet. I think if it's got a regular rhythm and it more or less rhymes, it could be a song. But the dancey one, I don't think it could unless I really sort of cherry picked bits and made it. What do you think?
I think I wasn't specifically asking about that one poem, but
Yeah.
about the process of.
Well, do you ever get something that starts as a poem and it ends up as a song? Because you write both.
Yes, but it's a conscious effort to do it, as it were, and adapt it.
Yeah. It's really strange because music and words often come in different baskets to me, and it is, as you say, it's a bit of an effort to make them marry each other. Although I like it when it happens.
Yeah.
Hi, Stephen. It's Miranda, but you can't see me.
Oh, Miranda! Hey, another one of my favourite poems. Poets, not poems. You're a poet, not a poem.
But also, I was a dancer, and I remember you playing for me years ago. Do you remember? I think it might have been 5 years. When I was teaching an Israeli dance in the Lizzie's at Kenfield Hall, and you were accompanying us. And I thought, I wonder if that inspired you to do circle dancing.
It was you were part of my path, and what I loved was your choreographies because they were so playful, and so much modern choreography has a slightly sort of somber, unemotional feeling, and your dances had emotion. They were just playful and passionate and sparkly.
I so know that what you mean, that inner thing. The music.
Yeah, your poems, a lot of your poems have got that sparkle as well.
Oh, thank you. I don't know why I'm not seeing. I've suddenly vanished, but I don't know.
I can see a little me, and I can't see you.
I can see you, I can see everyone, but I can't see me.
Oh, you must be the invisible dancer.
Oh, yes.
Colin's got a question.
So, yes, Colin and then Halima.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Very much.
Good. I just wanted to say lots of lovely things have been said, Stefan, about the poems that you've just read, you and Bethan. But I wanted to say how lovely I found the whole presentation, where you would be talking and then with such ease, here comes the poem. And then you got out of the poem with such ease into talking it. The whole thing just had a naturalness to it, which I loved. Thank you.
Thank you, and see you, David. Yeah, Colin, it's really nice to hear that. I think because we worked, you know, I was a very shy young person, but then I trained as a school teacher, and now we've worked for years with groups. And you sort of get into the way of being, I don't know what the word is exactly, but it's almost, it just becomes like having a conversation with a friend,
Yes.
having a connection with a
Yes.
group. But it happened
Yes.
gradually, just in the process of getting used to it.
You're
Yes,
also,
it's fluent.
Stefan, you're also an MC. You know how to talk to a group and to get a group involved and active and feel comfortable. So that translates very much into how you present your poetry. I agree with Colin. I think it was just, it was fluid. It just one thing led into the next. There's no hesitation, not lots of ums and ahs. Really great. But the poem I particularly liked was the Splinter poem. How you took the splinter from all these different situations in life. I thought that was really beautiful and very meaningful.
You know, that was the one I wrote on Wednesday, and it was effortless. I hardly had to touch it. It just, but it did start with a real splinter a few weeks ago, and me thinking, isn't it strange? It's so small, and yet the skin won't heal over it. Somehow the skin knows it's got to do something first before it can heal. And then the kind of the imagery of that just kind of floated around for a while. I'm really pleased you like that. That's maybe my favorite of my own poems, but that's probably because it's new as well.
Well, like so many other people on this call, we've known each other for 50, I don't know how many years, 50 years?
Early 70s.
Yeah, early 70s.
When you and Wahidi were singing together.
Well, when
that
I
was when I first met you.
In London, and so it's just beautiful to watch one's progress through the years and development and interests and passions come out in their life.
Thank you. It's very nice to still be in touch and having mutual. By the way, Halima runs, well, for many years she ran a world music radio show, and when they had to go off the air, she continued an online sort of inspired rare world music suggestions. And if that interests you, connect with Halima Collingwood on Facebook for the most fantastic world music that you never hear anywhere else.
Thank you.
Hey. It's so nice to see you, Lonisi. I'm seeing you there in a little square. It's been a long time. We've stayed with Lonisi in the south of Brazil, Porto Alegre.
Qué bueno, qué bueno.
This is your house.
Yeah, I know, we miss it. We miss it. Ours is more messy, so I can't show you really.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to see your cats. Is it possible?
I don't know. I'll see what Bethan's winning. I'll see if Bethan will negotiate with me.
Okay.
He's more sensible.
Okay.
And Rosita, thank you. Rosita, thank you so much for doing this every week. It's really great. Rosita.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. Elena, would you like to say something?
Yeah.
Can I come back? I just wanted to say that I absolutely meant to.
Oh, sorry, Elena.
I
can
just
you
wanted
just?
to say, oh, you brought the kitten. Let's look at the kittens first.
Yeah.
They're famous already, these kittens.
So this is Seraphine. He was Serafina, but he had a sex change, just like in my poem.
And this is Topaz. Topaz, and she's a girl.
Stephen, we can't say you're
just having their dinner.
Oh, they are so sweet. Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you so much.
Oh no, I'm really glad you asked, because they're like our new children or our family. And honestly,
Yes.
the lockdown blues has evaporated since we got the kittens 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So, Elena.
Yeah, I'll come back. I just
Sorry
want to say
about that.
about the kittens. I've been watching them on your Facebook page, and I think what a wonderful decision to get them at a time like this. I've been feeling really jealous of you.
That's right. That's a good
Yeah, but about the
I would just like to interrupt because Mitzi's come to say hello
Oh,
as well.
hi, Mitzi!
Mitzi.
This is gonna be the cat club.
Yes.
Joe, you've got a cat. Is it anywhere around?
It's the dog at the moment.
I wish I had.
Oh, all right then.
Before we open the cat club, I would like to say goodbye to the audience. You can have a chat still, but I would like to press the button, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
Rosita, and for all the help and support.